Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre says that he is not buying the special rapporteur's report into allegations of foreign interference. Now, this comes after David Johnston announced that he does not think a public inquiry is needed into alleged foreign meddling in the past 2 federal elections. Johnston based his conclusion on intelligence information that the federal opposition leader was not cleared to view. Pierre Poilievre is in Toronto today, and he joins us now. Welcome to CP24.
Thanks for having me.
I want to ask your opinion on this, Mr. Poilievre. Will you take the Prime Minister up on his offer to obtain the heightened security clearance if you can see classified information into this yourself?
So I'm not going to be muzzled. And what I think Trudeau is trying to do here is put a bunch of paper in front of me that has information that's already public, mark it secret, and then say, you can't speak about this anymore because now you've seen classified material. It's a crafty way to silence critics. We already have 2 Conservatives that are cleared to look at these documents and to scrutinize what the Prime Minister proposes to put in front of me. I think that is the right way to go. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to be silenced. What we actually need is a full public inquiry with a former judge who's skilled at dealing with national security issues, to look into the allegations, to see why Beijing interfered in 2 successive elections to help Trudeau win. Why did Beijing give $140,000 to the Trudeau Foundation in order to influence the Prime Minister? These are questions to which we need real answers, and only a public inquiry will deliver those answers.
And you've made it very clear your stance on your opinion on the relationship between Mr. Johnston as well as Prime Minister Trudeau. When you look at your ministers, what about them possibly taking a look at the report?
Well, members of my caucus are going to be able to look at it. They're on the committee, the National Security Committee, so they will be looking at it.
How do you see a Poilievre government handling international meddling and interference when it comes to if you were the leader of this country?
Well, first of all, we need a full public inquiry into the past meddling that will come up with recommendations to prevent it from happening again. We can't have politicians and governments that are compromised and serving the interest of foreign dictatorships. I want a foreign agent registry, a foreign influence registry, which would require anyone who's paid by a foreign government to manipulate Canadian politics to register and have their name posted online. If you wanted to lobby for the food bank, you'd have to register. Your name would be online. We'd all know that you were lobbying for the food bank.
Sure.
But if you're lobbying for a foreign dictatorship, you can do it in secret. I think you should have to register for that.
Do you see any added benefit to having access to those top secret documents, though?
We don't know exactly, but what I do know is that Trudeau wants to silence me, he wants to stop criticism, and swear me to secrecy. And how can I be the top opposition to the government if I can't speak?
But Mr. Johnston did mention something that, in order for it to sort of be clear across the board, he needs the other leaders, including Mr. Trudeau, including Mr. Singh, and including yourself, to take a look at the report.
Well, I think Mr. Johnston has an agenda to help his ski buddy, his neighbor from the cottage, his 40-year-long family friend, and he's part of the Trudeau Foundation, which is implicated in this scandal. The Trudeau Foundation got $140,000 of money from Beijing, which intelligence reports indicate was designed to buy the love and loyalty of Justin Trudeau. So David Johnston does not have any credibility. He should get out of the way and allow for a full public inquiry.
You are here in the city of Toronto this morning and this afternoon. So tell us more about your announcement earlier today.
Well, we want to bring home lower prices by axing the carbon tax. Trudeau wants a 61 cent a litre carbon tax. So prices are up again today. Imagine a 61 cent a litre tax on your diesel and gas. Not only raise your price of driving, but also all your food has to be grown by farmers who use fuel and truckers who ship it. That'll mean more expensive food. Canadians can't afford to have food prices go up 30 or 40% to pay Trudeau's latest tax. I'll axe that tax. I'm also going to cap spending to get rid of the inflationary deficits that have driven up the cost of everything in this country. And I'm going to cut income taxes and reform our programs to make work pay again, so that people bring home more of each dollar they earn. Right now, work doesn't pay. You get punished for every extra dollar you earn. I'll bring home powerful paychecks with lower taxes. And the final thing I'm talking about today is we need to bring homes people can afford. Government gatekeepers have blocked construction. That means we have the fewest houses per capita in the G7. That's why our young people are living in their parents' basements into their mid-30s. I'm going to require large cities like Toronto increase housing completions by 15%, or lose infrastructure money. And I'll give building bonuses to those that speed up permits and free up land to build more homes. We need to bring millions of homes so our young people can put a roof overhead.
Now, you're also here to talk about crime as well. And so here in the city of Toronto, crime, unfortunately, correlates with a number of young people.
Yeah.
And so what are your solutions when it comes to this disconnect that it seems that young people have when it comes to these violent crimes, and it only seems to be getting worse?
First of all, we're going to end Trudeau's catch and release system. Under Trudeau, violent crime is up 32%. Why? Because he's brought in catch and release bail, parole, and serving sentences from home. So the most violent offenders can be arrested in the morning, released by noon, reoffend, and get rearrested, and then be released again to commit 3 crimes in the same day. I would require jail, not bail, and I would require that every serious repeat violent offender serve their entire period behind bars until their trial is complete and their sentence is done. That's one common sense thing. I'll also stop giving out taxpayer-funded drugs, which have only made overdoses worse. Instead, I put that money into treatment so that we can bring home our loved ones drug-free.
Now, you being in the city right now, we are in the midst of a mayoral by-election. Are you following along?
At a distance. I know Torontonians have a decision to make independent of me, but we need a common sense mayor. We don't need more tax and spend. We know the city of Toronto is broke after 8 years of Trudeau. Even after he's spent $500 billion, he hasn't helped Toronto. What Toronto needs is common sense to get our streets, to bring home safety to our streets. We need lower taxes so people can afford to live, and we need to remove government gatekeepers to build more homes. That's the only way it's going to be possible for our young people, our immigrants, and our working class to put a roof overhead.
You spoke on affordability and housing. Here specifically in the city of Toronto, though, it does appear that many people, we were just talking about a survey that said 9 in 10 feel like we're on the verge of a housing affordability crisis. So what suggestions or what would you like to see implemented directly for the city of Toronto if you were elected?
Well, 9 in 10 people are right. We do have that crisis. 9 in 10 young people believe they'll never afford a home. This is after 8 years of Justin Trudeau. Housing was cheap in Canada 8 years ago. And now it's unreachable. Housing costs have doubled for rent, down payments, and mortgage payments since Trudeau took office. Now, why is this? It's because we have the fewest houses per capita in the G7, even though we have the most land to build on. It's crazy. And what's stopping construction? Government gatekeepers that delay building permits and block off land and make it impossible to get new homes built. And that adds about $600,000 to the price of every new home. So what am I going to do? A Poilievre government will require big cities increase the number of homes they permit by 15%. They free up land, speed up permits, or they'll lose infrastructure money. But those that speed up and deliver more houses will get building bonuses. I'm going to require every federally funded transit station have high-density apartments around and even on top. And I'm going to sell off 6,000 federal buildings to convert them into housing for our people. This is a common sense plan that will bring homes our workers can afford.
Now, 6,000 sounds like a great amount, but but specifically for Toronto, how much of that could you see designated to the city?
We're going to do a full inventory of all federal buildings and all federal lands to find out where and how much we can sell. But the estimate I have is that 6,000 buildings can be sold right across the country. But also, we're going to incentivize the cities to free up land and speed up and lower the cost of building permits. That's the number one obstacle. It's why housing is almost twice as expensive in Canada under Trudeau than it is in the United States. That's crazy. They have 10 times the people and they have less land. Why is it cheaper to buy a house there than it is here? You see these pictures of it in Niagara. A house costs $550. It's an old ramshackle thing falling apart. And then on the American side of the Niagara, you can get a beautiful home standalone for $200,000. Why? Government gatekeepers are blocking housing construction. We need to get these gatekeepers out of the way. And by the way, we need to bring down interest rates. And the only way governments can do that is by bringing down deficits. Government deficits compete for credit, drive up interest rates, and make home payments more expensive. So Poilievre government will bring home balanced budgets to lower interest rates and mortgage costs, and I'll get the gatekeepers out of the way to build, build, build.
Okay, we have to leave it there. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre.
Great to be with you. It's common sense. Let's bring it home.
Thank you for your time on CP24.